Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. I am here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. How you doing today, babe?
I'm doing good. Good morning. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling good.
You are?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've been.
Had a good night's sleep?
I did. I did. Yeah, we've been watching the Black Olympics. We've been
That's what I
looking.
love. The Black Olympics is killing it. The
Yeah,
Jamaicans. Whoa.
yeah. First, second, and third in the 100 meters broke Flojo's record. That was pretty cool.
I think I'm the run whisperer. I've been able to predict the winner.
You predicted that?
I did. Remember, we were watching it and I said, she's going to win first place. She's not going to win first place. Remember, they expected
Mm.
Shelly, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
They
Shelly and
expected
Pressure
her, and
Cross.
I said she's not going to win first place. It's something in her face I could see that the other Jamaican was going to win, and I said the Jamaicans are going to sweep it. I said
Mm.
it before it actually happened, and I was right. I surprised myself how right I am.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. Well,
I need to
shout
go to the horses. I need to do some betting at the horse races or
A shout
something.
out to the Jamaican women. They were killing it. That was impressive.
Oh yeah, they. I knew I could tell they were super strong in the semifinals. I just felt like they just had that winning spirit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something about like Jamaicans because it reminded us of when we went to Jamaica. Remember, we went a couple of times,
Right, right.
and they have a confidence about themselves.
Yes, they do.
And I just kept thinking, oh, I wonder if it's because they're not in contact with white people a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
They come to America and then they get their confidence crushed.
yeah, I did get the sense that Jamaicans in Jamaica were just different from the Jamaicans in America.
mm,
There's like a
yeah.
there's and I remember I know a lady who is was born and raised in Jamaica, and she moved to America, and I got to know her really well, and I saw her confidence really fall just
Wow.
hanging around white people all day.
Yeah, that's so
I
true.
mean, she came when she first came here, like literally she got off the airplane, and I had a good I met her and I had a good conversation with her. She was confident, she was smart, she was brilliant, and then just being in contact with this system here, it
Mm,
killed her spirit, I
kind of
think.
messed up. That's crazy.
It really did. But anyway, the Jamaicans are awesome. But what's on your mind today?
Well, I want to say good morning to everybody. First of
Oh,
all,
okay.
this is Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins, and we literally are laying against our pillows when we do this, and we're just sort of, we thought it would be fun to kind of let you guys into what a couple of black PhDs talk about when we're laying in bed next to each other. So we were talking this morning about this video. There's a video you saw about grown men versus grown males, which I thought was really fascinating. And actually, before I talk about the video, do me a favor, put a hashtag B1 in the chat to let us know that you're B1. We are Black First on this platform. I want to make sure you guys know that. And feel free to shout out the city that you're from. I always like to see what city you guys are from. Yeah, so there's this video with this actor. You know his name? You remember his name?
I couldn't remember his name. Well, what did I say? I
I,
couldn't remember his name.
I don't know. He
Dante Whitcrow, I think that's his name. He does a show, I guess, on the OWN network,
does he?
Oprah Winfrey Network. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he did a video, or I guess wrote a book on manhood. And basically he was the topic was the difference between a grown man and a grown male. And I want to ask everybody, give me a yes or no if you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever seen, or if you see a lot of examples of men that look like men but don't understand what men are supposed to do. A lot of grown males, and I think that this is. I want to be careful with a conversation like this. Is Dondro Whitfield? That's his name.
Dondra. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go.
Thank you,
Thank you,
April.
April Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's give me a yes or no if you know if you see that, because it's very frustrating, especially for people that really kind of get it, that are really trying to build things. And the challenge I've noticed is that you can't really build stuff with a boy. You need a man around. And so it's one of those things where I really thought the conversation was interesting, because he was really tapping onto stuff that I've seen people talk about, and I've seen people take it the wrong way. What usually happens when a conversation like that takes place is you have a lot of women that are cheering, because unfortunately you have a lot of women that think all their problems are because of a man, and I don't agree with that either. But then you'll have some men who go into bitchy mode, like they'll get real mad. Like there'll probably be some trolls in here at some point that will just get bitchy because you strike a sore spot. you know.
Hmm.
And unfortunately they don't realize they're actually proving the point that, you're behaving like in a really feminine way because you're mad because somebody's challenging you. They're expecting accountability from you. And but I like the conversation. What do you think about what he said?
I mean, it makes sense. I've seen some of that dynamic actually play out in some sessions. So it just reminded me of some clients that I see and that I have seen a long time ago. And
Okay.
it's just a pattern that I've noticed, that the more a man kind of steps up to the plate and really loves his wife or loves his woman, I find that the woman becomes way more feminine.
Okay.
And that she because I think there's a lot of women, and I won't even say black women necessarily, but there's just a lot of women who have anxiety, and they're anxious, and they're worried about the money, they're worried about the children, they're worried about a lot of things, just the day-to-day tasks that's required to run a household. So I find that they're worried about that, but I think that when their mate steps up and supports them and helps them with what they do, especially in household duties and just in general. When the mate steps up and they become a team, I notice that their anxiety decreases a lot. They're not as worried. They're way more relaxed. They can be more loving. They can be a little more gentle to each other.
Mm,
Hmm. Hmm.
okay. Interesting.
That's what
Interesting.
I've noticed, a pattern that I've
So,
noticed.
what do you think? Give me a yes or no in the chat. Do you think that women become more feminine when men become more masculine? What do you think? Is that true? Because I can say one thing that I actually observed in real life is times where a masculine man shows up, and the woman is also prepared to be masculine, and it causes a power struggle.
Hmm.
And I don't see you that as a person that would be in that category. That's why I married you. But I look for that, actually. I look for that because now we're all into the whole girl power, woman power thing. And unfortunately, what signal it sends to some men is, okay, well, y'all don't need us. Like, y'all trying to go in the lab and grow a penis and literally just take our place, and there are some women, it seems, that almost, when they deal with a man who is competent, who is going to come through, they don't even know how to handle that. Like, they like, it becomes a fight.
I think they do know how to handle it. I think initially it's probably very um what's the word I want to say, initially it can be a friction, it can be something difficult to deal with, but I think that men need to be patient when they're with a woman like that who has these
Mm-hmm.
masculine qualities, because you have actually, I think when a man comes across a woman, is dating a woman who tends to be like what you say, grow a penis or whatever word you whatever you said.
Grow some big hairy
Y-
balls.
yeah, because here's the thing, instead of getting upset about it, what I really challenge men to do is to get an understanding of why and how they became that way. It's I think it's a survival mechanism. You had to take on everything to run a household because you're by yourself. It's
Hmm.
a survival mechanism. That's how things get done. So if a man comes in and they want to pick up some of the slack in that way, or pick up and help out in the household in that way. And there's going to be friction at the beginning. Why? Because they don't know if they can trust you.
Hmm.
Like, the woman don't know they can trust you. They
Right.
probably developed that way because they put their trust in a man and the man let them down. And so
Yeah.
they're saying, okay, well, I just got let down. Things need to be done.
Hmm.
The baby needs to go to school. The baby needs some clothes. I'm going to try to do it on my own.
Right on.
So I think there should be a lot more understanding and not ridiculing black women for
Mm.
developing those skills that get things going.
Yeah, I think that's 100% true. You know what I found? I figured out
Hmm.
the secret word that black people have to have in the back of their mind when they're dealing with each other, because we're all affected by the things we've gone through, the things we've had to overcome. The secret word for me, my magic word, has been patience. Literally patience. I when you're a black man, you come across a black woman who's maybe been damaged by her experiences. Maybe daddy wasn't there. Maybe people have let her down, and she's adapted to that. You got to be patient. You have to kind of sit back and, and sort of deal with it in a certain way without thinking you can come in with an iron fist and say, okay, I'm gonna beat this, I'm gonna beat it out of you, or I'm gonna abandon you. Right? Either I'm gonna dominate you, or I'm going to walk away from you, right? And I don't think that's always necessary if you have patience. And then, but then also, I think for women, when you're dealing with men that have a lot to overcome, it's really hard out here for black men. That black men go through a lot, and it leads to mental health problems. Sometimes black men didn't get a proper instruction manual on what a man's supposed to do. And remember, they were raised by a lot of them were raised by a woman, right? So women play a part in the creation of some of the men that become grown males. So women can't look at that as if I ain't got nothing to do with that, because that same woman who's complaining about how weak these men are might be raising a son to become a weak man, right? So you just got to keep that in mind. It's a cycle. And then also patience is important. I find when it comes to kids, the number one word, I mean, literally, that's how I learned how to interact with children, whether it was my children or, children, that I was blessed with in my family, like, my quote unquote stepkids, even though they're not my stepkids, those are my kids. There are times where I just want to go in and just dominate. Like your natural instinct as a man is like, wait a minute, I feel disrespected. Like what the hell, And that is ego driven. That's self centeredness. That is, it's all about me and my emotions and how I feel. And if I don't feel like I'm dominating, then I'm going to feel inferior, which to some extent is a reflection of an insecurity, right? So for me, my challenge was to say no. I'm going to sit back in the cut. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to let it happen. And the thing is, patience pays off because when I first came into the house, you know, it took time for the kids to get comfortable with me. Especially Quincy, the oldest. His daddy in here. I'm not his daddy. I had to develop a relationship with him, and there were times where, I wanted to go old school, like what they call medieval on his ass. I'm like, okay, you know what? I could wring your neck because I weigh twice as much as you do, right? And because that was how my father handled stuff. It was very dominant. And I was like, no, I need to be patient with him because he's adjusting. He's dealing with the fact that this man is, I'm not his dad. He's feeling that emotion. He has to learn to trust me. And so I just sat there, and I was very patient, and it paid off. Now with every single child in this house, I can walk in and I have a direct, powerful one-on-one relationship with them, and I can see in every one of their lives where they are now doing something in their life that is a reflection of something I taught them. Like Quincy is going to the University of Louisville because I went to Louisville and we talked about entrepreneurship and all that stuff. I was really proud of that. He repeats the things that I say. And I love that. Coco, where's my clothes? Like she been
She
that girl
does
been
wear your
stealing.
clothes.
She been stealing clothes out of my closet since forever. She lived. I'll be like, why are you wearing my shirt? That's my Tupac shirt, girl. What you
Yeah,
you know?
because she likes those graphic tees.
Yeah, but I
She
think
has
it's
those
it's
graphic
it's
tees.
so great. And then
Hmm.
and then of course the baby, that the baby was always, well, I mean, I met her
Yeah.
when she was 6, so that was an easy win. And it's great because it's like, wow, I'm so when you are flexible in your thinking, it creates so many powerful opportunities for you in your life, as opposed to when you are only rigid in your thinking, right? And what I mean by that is uh, the non-traditional family is a little bit strange. Like this. I literally look at our kids. They have 3 parents. They got me, their dad, and you, and we
Hmm.
all, and then grandma, right? And we all work together as a village to hold it down with these kids. Like I coordinate with the father to make sure that the kids are put back in line, and it's really cool because everybody's holding their own, and it's best, like the kids are protected, you know and so I kind of encourage everybody to just learn that word patience, when you're dealing with people, as opposed to just criticizing. Like, don't get me wrong, I think you have to have standards. Like, I don't go along with any bullshit that I see, but there are times when I say, okay, this person is working through something, and I have to kind of sit back and not necessarily be so quick to judge. What do you think?
Well, I think that what you were talking about is just how to be respectful to people, and how to be a how to be a man without being toxic. Without
Right.
like saying, I don't care about how you feel, I don't care about anything, I don't care about um I do not care. It's going to go this way. It's going to go this way. It's going to be my way or the highway. And so that's abusive, and I don't like that when I see that, where it's a total disregard for any and everybody and you just put yourself first.
I think that I think that your point is good. I think we have different definitions of toxic. Um, what you might call some things you might call toxic, I just call it hyper masculine. Hyper masculinity is like what you see in the military or with on the football field. In the football field, you just dominate. You just control other men by dominating. Like I don't care. I ain't got time for your feelings. We got to go win this game. It's either my way or the highway because I'm the coach, right? And that's not necessarily toxic, but it is hyper masculine, and it does not work in a household, right?
Yeah,
Um,
because you're trying to raise people. You're and I mean, how do you raise children? You get to know them, you listen to them, you try to encourage them. Kids go through a lot of things. They got to go to school. I mean, that's a big dynamic thing. Or not go
mm,
to school or stay at home. They have all sorts of needs and wants. They also are a child. They're childish. So they need guidance and they need you to set an example. So it's so important, like for me and you, when we're in this house together, we set an example of how a couple should be with each other. We're kind to
mm,
each other, we're nice to each other. We just don't live on the internet. We live off the internet. We have a life that we live. And
mm.
that's the thing that I really love. I mean, that's why I married you. Was
Well,
because one of the reasons why I married you is because I want to have that great example for the kids to see a good relationship.
well,
And I felt like they needed to see that.
I think so too. But I think also, to add to that, I would say that um, not everybody has the same approach to everything, right? And to me, as long as you're not hurting anybody, I'm willing to listen to your perspective and
Hmm.
how you feel. I tend to also believe at the same time that that the whole world can't always be touchy feely about everything. There are times where you have to tell the 10-year-old, like, you do it because I said so. Like, stop crying, I don't want to hear that no more. And I think
Hmm.
that's where the
Yeah.
balance between the masculine and the feminine comes into play. I do believe that naturally women are more nurturing than men. My job is not so much to be the super nurturer. Like, I'm not going, you tell me that something went wrong or whatever, or you lost the fight. I'm not the guy that's really going to go bake you some cookies and tell you it's going to be all right. I'm the person who's going to, really talk to you about how you can win that fight next time. But at the same time, I'm gonna, try my best to make sure that you're emotionally solid when you walk out the room. Like I think, you think about military. What do? They break you down so they can build you back up, right? And that's a very masculine kind of way of dealing with stuff, But at the same time, it is effective in certain contexts, right? So I ultimately think, that when you talk about that role of the man, it is dynamic, and I think that generally we all have different definitions of it, and it's okay to kind of consider them all to just figure out what the goal is.
Yeah, I thought in that video, I mean, he really gave great examples. I don't know. We need to try to how do we get the video out that we
Um,
we're kind of responding
well, you
to?
sent it to me on
I
on,
sent it to
on
you.
Instagram, and I don't. I'm gonna put it on my Instagram. My Instagram is the real
Yeah,
Boyce
put it on
Watkins.
your Instagram. I would
Yeah,
appreciate that
yeah.
because I mean that was really key. And he talked about the fact that how he honors and respects his wife. Didn't you think that was interesting? Because here he is an actor and he has to play these sexy scenes, these sexy love scenes on camera, with another
Well,
woman.
and that
And it's something that I always thought, like, how do married people in Hollywood deal with that? Like that is something
you know
I,
what, I would, I don't know about y'all. How many of y'all would want to see your spouse or your partner having sexy love scenes on camera with somebody else? I wouldn't enjoy that.
well
I'm
see.
gonna tell you the truth. If you were an actress who
Uh-huh.
was doing that type of stuff with
Yeah.
with a bunch of men, I would not. I wouldn't be married to you.
Okay, so what I liked about the video though is
Hmm.
that it sounds as if he and his wife had this conversation because his wife is an actor too. So
Oh,
I think
okay.
that that was key, but it sounded like whatever it is, it sounded like the two of them have sat down and intentionally made boundaries for each other. Okay, here's what we're going to do in a love scene. He said, I'm not going to ever use my tongue. I only use my tongue with my wife. He said
Uh,
it's just going to be, and he set those boundaries. He said, before a scene like that happens, I'm going to call you. I'm going to connect with you. I'm going to talk to you. I'm not going to, so he followed through. So both of them trust each other to follow through what they agreed that that boundaries they were going to have in their work relationship.
well, I
So
would say that whatever
it was
floats
a
their.
great, it was a great example of what couples should do. They should
Mm.
sit down and they should create boundaries for each other so that they understand what the plan is and trust and follow through on them. Here's what it's going to be. Follow through, and that's how you're safe and secure in a relationship.
I guess so. I personally wouldn't enjoy watching my wife smooching it up with another dude on screen. It wouldn't be something I would. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like I could do that if the woman is my girlfriend, or my my, what do they call it, friend with benefits, or whatever they call them. Like all those are all categories, of relationships, and that's okay. But if you're my wife,
I have to think about
like,
that.
there's something about taking on the responsibility of a wife and children, where you, at least as a man, I don't know, I feel like, okay, this is mine. I'm
I
taking care of
here
all this, and this is not belong to anybody else. Not just sexually. I'm talking about just all of that.
Yeah, I think rightfully so you should be worried, because I'm sitting here thinking about how um actors who play a couple on the screen end up really falling in love with each other. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen people leave. What movie was that? Mummy. You know that movie
Hmm.
Mummy?
Yeah.
The two people on that show went on them in that movie, they
Hmm.
were married to other people, and during the process of shooting the film they actually fell in love with each other and left their spouses for each other.
Wow. Well, remember, and I mean, I
It's
remember. Well, let
hilarious.
me tell you something that a lot of people may not know this about shooting movies. I was in a couple of films, and I don't want to be in any more movies. And let me tell
I
you
know
why.
you do not like it.
I would tell you why. Because when you do little scenes, you don't just do it one time. It just looks seamless because the actors and actresses are so talented. You got to do the same little scene like 10, 15 times sometimes. Like, they'll be like, okay, do it again. Okay, kiss her again. This time we're gonna get the angle from the left. Okay, now this time kiss her again, but with more passion. No, this time try this. Grab her by the ass and kiss her. Like, so you're doing the same thing over and over again. And I remember thinking, God, what do we have to keep shooting this? Does it really take 45 minutes to shoot this 2 minute scene? But that's what they do. So to me, when you think that you can confine the supernatural power of human lust into a business model, you're playing with God, in my view, because God designed lust and love to be the most powerful forces in the universe. So if I think I can go up here and be all close to another woman and be sucking in her pheromones, and kissing on her and looking her in the eye and feeling all these emotions that you feel when you're in love, that's just not logical. That is not realistic.
Well, yeah, and I'm certain that's the reason why Hollywood marriages don't last very long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Love,
problem.
love,
It's a
love.
problem. I don't know the answer to it, but it
Well,
is a problem.
well, what fascinated me was when I read
Yeah.
a book a long time ago. I think it was called Love Addicts or something, and they explained all the complex chemical and physiological responses your body has to just when you touch a person. Like, when you touch a person,
Yeah,
it's like,
skin is connected to your brain. Yeah.
yeah, it's like
Hmm.
crack. It's like somebody saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna try crack one time. It'll be all right."
Yeah, because that movie Snowfall, we see exact that is what's powerful about that movie, about that show. Why do I call
Mm,
it a movie? That's what's powerful about that show, is that
uh,
they actually I mean, as soon as that person smoked crack, they zoomed in on their face so that you can see how
mm-hmm.
addictive that is the first time you do it. It's
Yeah,
not like you become addicted to crack. It's like you're addicted to crack the very first time.
yeah,
And that's what sets crack apart from the other drugs.
right. And sex
Hmm.
is Mother Nature's crack, in my view. Because think
Yeah.
about it. Give me a yes or no if you understand what I'm saying. Do you think that a person could ever, like, let's say somebody's a virgin? If that person has really good sex, like, one time, do you think that they're gonna want to do it again? Once you have that one high, like
Hmm.
that first really good orgasm, you don't think people gonna come back for more?
Mm.
You don't think people will pay for that high again?
Well, yeah, especially if the rest of their life is all messed up. They don't have anything else to look forward to,
Right, right, right.
to compare
And
to that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think we have a lot of people that become like functional addicts of a lot of
Mhm.
things that help them to heal from the pain and trauma that they're feeling in other areas of their life. So you're
Mhm.
feeling stress and trauma and pain and powerlessness in every other area of your life, but you go in that bedroom, everything's all right. Well, it might be no different from like hitting the bottle every time, you're having a bad day, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
A-
ultimately, Oh, go ahead, man.
No, I was saying, and I think that's just what makes marriage so unique. Marriage itself, getting married to someone makes it so unique because you have to face all of those things. You don't
Mm,
necessarily need to face it if you're single.
mm,
If you're single and you're just like, stay over there, I'm over here. But to marry someone, you're realizing this.
mm.
You have to figure out what to how to fuse it all together.
Yeah.
Fusing your lives together, but then maintaining your own identity, of course. And
Mhm.
so that is just a tricky thing.
It is a tricky thing. Do me a
It
favor, hit
is.
the thumbs up button, hit the share, subscribe button, all that stuff. Dr. Alicia and I do this. We call this Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia, where we talk about, we like to talk to smart black people about smart black stuff. So we're not gonna sit here and try to be stupid so we can fit in. We really want to talk to people that like to have deep, meaningful, relevant conversations about interesting topics that are happening in the world. So,
Well, things that are interesting to us, I hope they're interesting to everybody else.
well, they're interesting to the people that are here, right? And
Yeah.
these are the people that matter, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Um, Let me see here.
You reading the
I'm read some of the
comments?
questions and comments.
Okay.
Okay, it looks like Dee Dee polished in TV. She has some pretty strong statements. She says mammal males love their own offspring. It's not natural to love the former dude's developed sperm cell. Oh God, that's disgusting. Is that what we are? Developed sperm cells?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, and then she made another bitter comment. I guess I don't know for Dee
let's
Dee's.
focus on let's okay, hold on.
I'm
I
a,
just want to say something, boys. I want to
mhm,
say something.
yeah.
I think that I would like for us to just focus on what we want to promote. So if you see a comment that's related to what you're about that resonates with us, that resonates
Mm-hmm.
with me. I mean,
Right.
that's not saying censor anything that is constructive, even though it's constructive criticism. I think that we should just focus on, what it is what message, what it is, what our intentions are for today.
I
Let's just
agree.
focus on it.
I agree. Well, what I like is I like
But I
this.
do like
I
dissent.
I like
Hmm.
dissenting points of view because one, it can give you an alternative perspective. Then two, it can give you an opportunity
Hmm.
to
Especially if
shift
it's constructive.
the discussion in a direction that is
Hmm.
that expresses what you support. Like so for example, Didi made another comment earlier about how she believes that men can't love children that are not their own. And obviously, I disagree with that because most of my kids are not my biological children, and I would take a bullet for any of them. And I don't know how you can love them much more than that. But I also would say that what is accurate though is I did read about something. I do believe strongly that children should be raised by their own fathers. I do, if at all possible, and I think we should sacrifice to try to make that happen. And the reason I say that um, is because there are studies that show that men on a instinctual subconscious level don't that there's nobody loves you like your biological daddy. That they're really
Well,
so wait, hold on, let me just say,
mhm.
but like even now with animals they go to the extreme. Like bears, if they date a woman that has kids, sometimes they'll eat the kids, they'll kill the kids, and then the woman just get pregnant again. But then with humans they said, look it up, they were talking about infanticide, and they were
Mhm.
saying that with humans you have more likelihood of abuse from the stepfather, because the stepfather maybe has deep-seated issues with you
Issues.
because you came from another man and he don't want another man shit in his space, like he's territorial, right?
Mhm.
So I think that, and look it up, I want y'all to research this, like this is actual real stuff. And so and I only speak on that honestly because I wasn't raised by my biological father. I was raised by a man that could be technically called my stepfather, but he's not my stepfather.
He's
I
your
consider
adopted father.
he's my father,
He's
period.
your father,
Right,
right?
he's my
Right.
father, right? And I love him, I honor him, I think he's the greatest. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I didn't get abused as a kid. I did get punched in the face and teeth knocked out, whatever the hell.
Wait, hold on. It's like your
What?
teeth were knocked out.
Well, I don't talk about it. But anyway, but no, but things happened in the house that were not good. You know what? It wasn't actually scratch that. The teeth got knocked out on a different incident. But I did get hit in the back of the head with a shoe, and it hurt and it bled and all that. But he apologized. He apologized when it happened. But it happened.
That's abuse.
It is abuse. Absolutely. My father, and let's pay attention. Let's be serious. Let's be honest now. My dad, um, I told him, I said, you weren't always a good man, but I feel like you are a great man. And the reason I say that is because my father, I learned from my experience the power of forgiveness. I said, the stuff I went through as a kid, I could either walk around like a bitter bitch, and I could be 40 years old, you know, with a messed up life, complaining over things that happened to me when I was 10, or I can forgive. And so with my parents, I forgave them for the mistakes they made. You see, the thing was, and I had to put it into context. It wasn't that I had to make excuses. I just wanted to understand. So when I understood my father's life, they'll pay attention now. You know, he got dropped in the middle of Vietnam at the age of 18. They threw him out of the airplane. When he wouldn't jump out with the parachute, they pushed him out. And he's 18. And he's in the middle of this jungle, and he got a heroin addiction just to cope with being in Vietnam. He came back from the United States, obviously came back to the US, and made a conscious decision to overcome his heroin addiction so he could be a proper father to me. You know, he met me and my mother when she was in community college, and he saw how we were struggling. Me and my mama, I should say, 18-year-old single mama, you know, with a little big head boy named Boyce, a little baby. And he said, I need to be here for them because if they don't have some support and protection, they're not going to make it. And I honor him for that, right? And so while I can certainly, so maybe you can look at it,
Yeah, I mean, it just
right? So,
seems like, and see, that's what I have so many thoughts about that.
no,
But
I totally
the
get,
thing is,
I totally get what you're gonna say. I get it, right? I
you
get
know
it.
what I'm gonna say.
If I was to say that,
Do you know what I'm gonna say?
I
Really?
think you're gonna say that maybe I'm not, that maybe I'm trying to, maybe it's almost like a type of Stockholm syndrome or something, where I'm forgiving my abuser or identifying my abuser, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is, right? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the most fucked up coping mechanism in the history of the world, but it's mine and it's okay. Like it works for me. I wake up every day as a happy man, right? And so what I would say is, you know, and also remember my dad was a cop. You know, he said to kill people. So in my household, it was very strict. It was very hard. You know, my father maintained, you know, he was big on maintaining order. He definitely made some
I don't
mistakes.
know if that's necessarily healthy, but
No, don't scratch it. It wasn't
I'm
it
just trying
wasn't
to say
it
that.
it wasn't completely healthy. But here's the thing. The problem to me is we will talk about what was unhealthy, but we won't talk about the benefits of going through the difficulty. I don't know anybody that's ever seen heaven that hasn't gone through hell. I don't know anybody who's had the glory of being at the mountaintop without going through the fire in order to get there. You know, and so
Hmm.
yes, I went through the fire. I went through all the motherfucking fire. My father, you know, extreme disciplinarian. I was, you know, 6 years old. He's 24, trying to figure it out.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they made a lot of mistakes in the process. They will tell you that. They'll be the first ones to tell you that they messed up and made
That's right.
mistakes.
And you're the
But
oldest, right? So
yes,
you got the
yes.
hold on a
Oh, go
second.
ahead.
You're the oldest, so you got the most. You got the brunt of some of that
Yes,
because
I
you were
did.
the oldest.
Yes, I did. I
And
did.
you know, I just want to tell you that you did not deserve that.
I did not deserve it. But let me tell you what. But I'm thankful for it. Let me tell you why.
You're
Let
thankful
me
for
tell
that.
yes, because the discipline that I was raised with is what gave me the discipline to overcome all of the bullshit I would deal with as a black man trying to become successful. It doesn't mean it was the perfect formula. Don't get me wrong. Maybe there's a better
Hmm.
way. I learned from my parents' mistakes. You know, I hug my kids a little more than I got hugged. I spend more time with my kids than my father spent with me. I do all the things that I
Hmm.
wish my father had done because he was 24 and I'm 50. Right? I'm a little wiser than he was. He was half my age, trying to figure it out. But here's the thing. I look at it like this man, if he nowadays, if a man's 24 years old, you got a million dudes on the internet that would say, why would you take on that baby mama? Why are you gonna be raising kids that ain't even yours? You a simp.
This
Right.
conversation always goes back to simp, and I would like to expand the conversation to something else,
Okay, but
if you don't
I
mind.
agree, but but you
Okay.
gotta let me make my point, baby.
Okay, go
You gotta let
ahead.
me make my point.
Keep going.
And I'm just saying though,
Hmm.
you know, he could have just walked away. Like he could have walked away. And do you understand? It doesn't mean, don't get me wrong, the biggest
Hmm.
culprit in my life was my biological father, in my view, for not being there for me or any of his kids. None of his children have anything good to say about him. None. Right. So to me,
Hmm.
I'm not focused so much on what I didn't have. I look at what I did. I lucked the fuck out to have a man who just said, you know what, I care enough about this little nigga that I'm gonna spend time with him. You know,
Hmm.
because so many people don't give a shit about kids that don't have a father. They don't care. So 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 that's why I honor the man, because don't get me wrong, you know, when you go through pain, when you go through trauma, it sucks. And if you can't process it properly, it's definitely going to crush you. But I have processed my trauma
So you
extensively.
did. So you did process it.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and I try,
Mhm.
and because I made a conscious decision to be an optimist. I now understand that the core of the toughness I have as a man, the courage I have,
Mhm.
literally, and it's not pretend courage. I'm really not scared of nothing. That came from the fact that I had a father who raised me to be a strong man. He did it in a pretty harsh way. But everything
Mm.
that's harsh ain't always negative.
Yeah, but the thing is that being an adult child of abuse and neglect, I mean, it has deep seated repercussions, Boyce.
I do agree.
Okay.
I do agree 100%.
Hmm.
I agree. And I don't know. Maybe I would have been a happier person if I was raised with a silver spoon in my mouth. If I was a little
Well,
cupcake kid.
everybody, no, hold on a second. Everybody
Seriously.
has, and I want to bring it back to relationships because I think that everybody, and we were talking about men and women, and I'm not certain what you title. What did you title? It's
Grown men versus grown males or
grown
something
men
like that.
versus grown males, and I think that, I think that you have to give each other time to develop, and so I think that that harshness, that's not manhood. Being mean like that to your
Hmm.
family, that's not manhood. And so maybe it just took some time for your dad to grow up a little more and to
Yeah.
really be a
Well,
man.
well,
So I
he
don't think that the abusive behavior is
well,
man
well,
behavior.
he would definitely agree that he had to grow up. I mean,
Uh-huh.
he's not in any point going to sit here and say that the stuff he did in his 20s was good, right?
Mm-mm.
In some ways,
And I'm sure he's got to have some guilt around that.
he has a lot of
He's
guilt,
got to feel guilty
right?
because
He has a lot of guilt,
yeah.
and he processes it the best he can. And I understood things better when my father told me that his father never, even to this day, his father's never told him he loved him. His father never gave him a hug. So
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 he
he
hurt. So he was hurt, and
well, so right, so he was
mhm.
evolving. He was breaking his own generational curse,
See,
right?
this, I think this is a perfect example of, I was, what the point I was going to make earlier is that when you come into relationships, everybody's going to come with their own baggage,
Hmm.
right? And, I could tell some stories. I have baggage. I was never abused as a child,
Hmm.
um, but um, but everybody has baggage that they bring with them in relationships, and I think that's why it's so important, and it's so easy for someone like who grew up with abuse to have addiction and have trust issues and have a whole lot of triggers in their life, and they really need to be patient with each other with that and try to
Hmm.
tease all that out and try to figure, okay, you just got triggered, what happened?
I agree. Well,
What
I actually
what
admire.
did that?
I love my trust issues, most of them. And the reason
Hmm.
why I embrace them is because you can't trust everybody.
Okay.
I'll just say my father used to say, you got to keep your enemies closer and your friends closer. And I said, wait, isn't it the opposite? You keep your friends closer and your enemies closer. He said, no, because it's your friends the
I
ones
don't
that
know.
are the ones that do you.
Yeah, I don't know why you would keep your enemies close. Like that doesn't make sense to me. But
Well, no,
even
well,
as an adult here, but anyway, I just the thing is, be a friend of be a friend. And I think what it is, your trust issues is really, sometimes I wonder if you trust yourself to really make good sound choices sometimes,
let me just say without any doubt,
Okay.
I trust myself immensely.
Okay.
I mean, and remember,
You don't second
I don't have,
guess.
right. I don't have a normal life.
Okay.
When you are being second guessed by 100,000 people, you have to have
Uh-huh.
a hell of a lot of confidence to stick to your point of view. So I know, I when I say things or do things, I think about it very carefully. And what gives me a lot of confidence to say and do whatever the hell I believe I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's because all the people that are criticizing you, ain't none of them motherfuckers perfect. All those people are flawed. So this
Yeah.
idea that somehow you got to put other people's opinion above your own all the time, that's
Yeah.
nonsense. No,
It is
trust your
nonsense.
gut. Think it through. Be a good person. Process things. Receive information. Take it all in. Look at different perspectives, and then move with your heart.
Mm-hmm.
That has what has allowed me to become successful to this
Yeah.
point.
And I love it. I love that process you just laid out. It makes perfect sense. I encourage everybody to do that sort of thing. I also think that you do, when you do make a mistake. So suppose something doesn't turn out the way you had
Hmm.
hoped to. I think having the ability to say, okay, let me look back and let me see, where was I blindsided? What
Mm,
cues? Because there's always cues. What did I not pick up on, so that I can trust that I can make a better decision next time.
yeah.
And so I think it's just that's what growing up means.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
I think
being able to grow up.
it's like playing a video game. When you play the video game and you don't win, you go back and you say, "Gosh, what did I do wrong?" And then you try again,
Well,
and
I
then
think I
what?
noticed you in your video games. Like, I noticed that you get killed a lot.
Well, it's because
And
I'm not that good. You
I
don't know.
don't I don't know if it's I noticed that, like, there'll be gunfire, and I noticed that you'll just run right in front of it. It's like a suicide mission on in there. And I, the therapist in me is like, why is he running into the fire? He knows he's not gonna make it out. You can't make it out. There's too many people
That's so
coming down
true.
on you.
Mm.
And it's just a metaphor to me about how you are sometimes.
Well, sometimes
You
that.
just throw yourself in
Well,
there.
sometimes that's a man's testosterone.
No,
Like
but
that. I agree,
I just
but
want you to
remember,
be a little correct.
but baby, you soft and sweet. You ain't built for war. Like if they had a war and needed soldiers,
Oh, come at me
you
and see what
you
happens.
would not you wouldn't send your
No,
children.
I'm not like that. But if my back's against the wall and it's
Now
me and you, I'm coming down on you
now
with
you
a
do
force.
you do have the
Yeah,
mama bear strength. Now, I've seen that when you get pushed against one. Yeah, Alicia's so determined when she decides she wants to do something, you better not get in the way because it's gonna get ugly.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, and that's another area where maybe patience comes into play. Like I have found in general that um and I understand, when I would hear people say, that maybe like dating women that are successful and smart and stuff is harder. It is harder because if you have some dumb person that just agrees with everything you say and follows right behind you, then that's easy, right? Because you get your ego constantly stroked. And I think that if you talk about that difference between a grown man and a grown boy, I would submit that part of being a grown man, in my view, is when you get to the point where your ego isn't the first thing that you lead with. Your ego's already comfortable, intact. You've already had enough validation to feel masculine to the point where you don't have to always fight and go gang banging with everybody just to prove that you're a man. Like you can actually kind of say, I know I'm a man. I don't need you to tell me I'm a man. I don't need to do something stupid to prove that I'm a
Well, you're
man.
trying to prove to yourself that you're a man.
Right, right, right. And that's what you do
Mhm.
when you're young, right?
Yeah,
When you're young, your ego's
hmm
easily bruised because you don't know if you have it what it takes yet. But once you've
hmm
accomplished a couple things, like you win a couple like a Simone Biles. Simone Biles does not need anybody to confirm that she's a great gymnast. LeBron James doesn't need anybody to tell him he's a great basketball player. But maybe when he was in high school, he wondered,
yeah,
can I make it in the NBA? Right. So it's a difference between being a grown man and a grown boy. Go
yeah.
ahead.
You mentioned Simone Biles, and I'm going to just switch gears a little bit. I'm just really sad today, because not sad, but I was a little disappointed because she's pulling out of everything.
Simone
We
Biles.
got to do our Black Olympics, boys. She's
Yeah.
pulling out of everything, so she's not going to do. I don't know if she's going to do the floor exercise. I would love to see her get out there, play that. You know what I would love for Simone Biles to do?
Well.
I would love for her to stop worrying about getting the gold.
Mm,
What I want for her to do is to say, you know what, I'm doing this floor exercise today. I don't care what happens. I don't care if I get a gold or if I go in last place. I want her to get out there. I want her to love the floor exercise, play the music, and I just want her to just have fun
mm,
and just totally take the pressure off of her, totally everything, and just smile and have a good time. And that's it. Get off the stage, get off the floor, grab her stuff and leave, and not even care if she wins the gold.
yeah.
Just, she doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. I just want her to have a good time. And
Mm,
and she's taken this, I don't know really what, it'd be very interesting to hear more about what she's actually going through. But it just would be really nice for her to just enjoy it
Yeah, I think that she should have.
and not
I,
get
I,
into this
yeah,
competition
I feel
thing.
like she should have just retired. And just like said, I'm not coming to the Olympics. Like I think it would have been okay to do that. I think that the hard part is when
I think
you.
she surprised
I
herself.
think she might have, and I get that. I
Hmm.
guess and that's life, and it's her right to do whatever she wants to do, right?
Yeah.
But I would have preferred if she were my daughter. I would have said, look, either go or don't go. Like but don't say you're gonna compete and then stop in the middle per se, because I kind of feel like it's like when I married you, I made a commitment. Rich for poor, sickness and health, death do you part. And I could, and then when I was actually married to you, there are days where I'm surprised. I'm like, damn, this is some hard, difficult shit, you know. And I could just change my mind and be like, um, I don't really have to prove anything to anybody. I think I'm just gonna give up. It was hard. We had a hard month, and Alicia was mean to me, and it wasn't fair. I think I'm gonna just go retire from this family, you know. And I could do that, right? But I wouldn't do that because people are dependent on me. But don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, if I walked away, the kids would be fine. Like they would
They would
recover.
not be fine.
Well, they'd
They'd
be.
be so
Or I
traumatized
could
if
be
you
like,
just
hey,
got up.
I'll be like, hey, I'll be down. Here's my phone number. Call me if you need
No,
anything.
that would not be the
I'm gonna
same
be I'm
thing.
be out bagging chicks and traveling the world and
Oh my
enjoying money.
goodness.
Like right. But I don't. But I'm not comparing those two. Right. Don't get me wrong. I think that competing in the Olympics is not as serious as raising a family. But I just think in general, or you think about maybe like if I would go agree to give a speech. If I agree to give a speech
Yeah.
and you book me to speak and you put me on the podium and people in the audience waiting for me to deliver,
And then you just say, I can't do
yeah,
it.
I'm not gonna get through halfway through the speech and then say, you know what, I'm not feeling it. Y'all,
Right
y'all
at the
have a good life.
punchline.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to say, yeah, because we talked about this earlier. And
Hmm.
I don't want to say that that's what Simone Biles has done because she's like, look, I'm leaving the country in capable hands. It's not like I'm pulling out and it's oh me oh my. I mean, that other lady got I mean,
She
they
did.
did
That is true.
excellent. So she got the gold. What's her Lee? Lee is her last name. She
Hmm.
got the go. So the other people were able to step up. So it's not like they left everybody dry. And she did say, she said, I feel like I'm going to bring everybody down. And so she
Yeah.
was just worried about that. I just
Yeah.
um it's just
Well, I
that's
just wish
really
her the
that's
best. I
pitiful.
wish the poor girl the best. I hope things go well for her. Let me read some of the questions. I'm gonna give rapid answers, and then you can dive into
Okay,
them.
rapid
Okay.
rapid answers.
Cocoa Puff. Why is Vicky Dillard allowing herself to be used by offering Derek Jackson a platform? Let me just say this. I love Vicky Dillard. I ride with her 100%. Do I agree on everything? Not always. Sometimes she don't agree with me, but she rides with me. I ride with her, and that's all it's going to be. Period.
Yes.
Why do you keep interrupting your husband? I want to hear a complete thought, says Gloria. She's not interrupting me. Sometimes I need to be interrupted, Gloria, because sometimes I talk too much. Y'all know I talk too much. Give me a yes in the chat if you know sometimes boys be talking too much. Let me see here. Let's see. Dr. Boyce laughing as Dr. Alicia says he gets killed a lot. Too funny. Yeah, I do get killed a lot, and that's actually true. Let's
I
see
don't
here.
like to see you die on the screen, by the way.
Oh, you don't? Is it traumatic
I
for you?
cannot, I don't know how people sit and play those video games all
Oh,
day.
it's so
It
much
drives
fun.
me crazy.
Oh, Call of Duty is fun. By the way, so sometimes on the YouTube channel on Dr. Boyce TV, if you ever want to come hang out, I'll play video games and just have grown man conversations, like Uncle Boyce conversations. So we had fun. We talked. I was playing for 3 hours and we were talking about everything. People
You
are
played for 3 hours
yes,
yesterday?
yeah. The video's still up there if you guys want to watch. We talked about stocks, the
Did
market.
anybody stay
We
with
talked
you for
about
the whole three
yes,
hours?
yes, because I drop game in while I'm playing. It was my idea was like, you know what? I want to really talk to some of these young people that want guidance. And people my age as well, right? And I was like, I started playing the video games with my sons for fun, just to kind of get a hobby. And I was like,
But they've moved on to other things and you still playing
well, they
video
still Quincy.
games.
No, Quincy still play. They both still play. They just
That's
don't play
true.
with me. But Quincy got me set up and everything, and now I'm really enjoying it. So I was like, why don't I play the game and talk to people while I'm playing? So it gives you something interesting to watch on the screen. And we were having really good conversations. We talked about everything from Cardi B and Lil Nas X, that whole Lil Nas X controversy,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
to what's going on in the stock market. And what I like about it, what I notice is that when I'm playing the video games and just talking shit on a Friday night, I tend to kind of let loose and it's fun. And I think it's because I'm playing this aggressive game. So I'm just letting loose. Like people asked me about Kwame Brown. I told the exact truth on how I feel. Like all the stuff I might not talk about during the week. because I'm trying to keep it structured. Friday and Saturday night, I think that's like
It
the
just
time
oozes right on out
I
on a
love it. I
Friday.
love it. It's very relaxing. I like that.
Oh, that's cool. I really I find joy in the fact that you love it so much. Like
Yeah.
it's like almost like I feel like I encourage you to play. Go play with your friends.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it's
funny.
a blast. Oh my god,
Yeah,
I'm
I
having
don't
so
have
much fun.
by the way, I don't feel neglected at all cuz you give me a lot of attention.
Yeah,
I appreciate that cuz I know it's a lot of people that want your time, but I get first dibs at your time.
you do, and the thing is that it's to give people insights into that. The philosophy I believe you should consider is anything that matters to you should really matter to you. You have to be intentional about everything that matters to you. A lot of people will say, "Oh, my relationship matters to me," but then they won't really be intentional about saying, "Okay, what do I need to do specifically to improve my relationship, have a healthy relationship, all that stuff." And so I was intentional. I started doing research on, what it takes to run a family, blended families, all that stuff. I study you like a book. Like, I was taking notes, what your favorite everything is, who you are. And I watched how you would respond to things. And because I figured if I studied you, because I'm a studier, I'm a student, I'm a scholar, right? So I figured if I studied you and understood you, then I
Hmm.
would, to the best of my ability, with my limited man brain, that would help me to connect, you know.
Well, I mean, you just have to be you. You don't have to study me to connect. Like we
I,
just connect just with you.
I want to be me, but I can't just be me all
You
the
can't
time.
just be you.
No, because not. I mean, seriously, like just doing what you want to do all the time just doesn't work. You can't just always be who you want to be. Like, cause shit, there's sometimes where I don't want to clean my room for a month.
When you
That shit
don't
ain't gonna
clean
work.
your room
That ain't gonna
anyway.
work in nowhere. No, that right. That ain't gonna work. But like around most women don't like messy spaces. I dated a girl a long time ago who said, she literally said something that I didn't understand. I think we were kind of cozy or whatever. And she said, I can't, she said, I just can't have sex in the middle of mess. And I was like, what the hell does the messy room have to do with whether or not you're having sex? Like, that doesn't even compute to me. But I had to learn
Thank
that.
you for that illustration, by the way.
I'm sorry, baby. Did
Uh huh.
that bother you?
It didn't bother me, of course, but
Well, shit, we had a life before we got together.
well, good
It's,
grief. Thanks for
that's a,
reminding me that you had a
oh,
life.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, she was nothing compared to you, if that makes you feel better.
Whatever. Okay.
It's tr-
So
no,
so what happened?
it's
Did
really
y'all have to
100% true.
go and
No,
clean
but
up
it's
the
really
room
true though.
first?
It's really true. Notice I didn't marry her. I married you.
I've had some things to say, but I'm not gonna say anything to that
Ooh, oh Lord.
about.
Oh, Boyce is in the doghouse.
No, he's not in
Um,
the
it
doghouse.
was it was said that Simone got serious ADHD and that her medication for it is banned in Tokyo. Interesting.
So she felt like she couldn't focus.
Interesting. Okay, that's interesting. And you know
Oh.
what? You
Mm-hmm.
know what? Adderall, 80 that wow, that's heavy. Because Adderall, the ADHD medication, um, I could see that being beneficial for a gymnast because gymnasts have to really concentrate.
Yeah, it helps you focus. The
Yeah,
Adderall.
yeah, that's intense. Wow, that's wow. So I think on that note, we should bounce out of here. But
What
um,
time is it? We had. Oh,
yeah,
we
we
got
got
stuff to
the
do
laundry
today.
laundry guys coming. But hey, but
Yeah.
one thing I'll say too, just kind of in
Yes,
summary on
baby.
the original topic
Hmm.
about grown men versus grown males. The things that come to mind, when I think about the difference in terms of manhood is, um, I was telling our son that one thing I believe a man does is a man has to be very solid. I use the word solid a lot. Like I
Hmm.
like to be around
Hmm.
solid dudes. Solid. So to me, solid means that you make a commitment, you stick to it. People depend on you, you come through. It's just it's really almost like in military when guys have guys they can trust. They know, okay, he'll come through and save my life. Like I know when he's around me, I don't have to watch my back. He's gonna help me out. Whatever, and he's competent at what he does. And I think that for men, I feel like that's an important factor. Like, so
Hmm.
to me, a non-solid man is a man who's kind of flimsy, who tells his daughter, I'm gonna pick you up at 2 o'clock and he doesn't show up and has some
Hmm.
excuse, or says, I'll pay you back on Thursday and he doesn't pay you back at all.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
that to me, that's the opposite of solid. And
Hmm.
so one thing that I got from my father, again, he wasn't a perfect man, but he's a great man. He wasn't always a good man, but he's a great man, is that he was always solid. Like my daddy would do whatever the hell it took to come through for his family.
Mhm.
Seriously,
Mhm.
if that meant he had to go, I remember him joking. He's like, I will go bite another man's nuts off if I have to get what I need for my kids and for my family. That's me. And I heard that and I was like, wow, this man would go and he would bite somebody's nuts off in order
Oh,
to.
and I like that because it made you feel special. It made you
Well,
feel
yeah,
special to him,
yeah. It let me
because
know.
he's not going to do that for everybody.
It taught me what it
He's
means
not
to
going to just spread all that out
right,
everywhere.
and
He's just doing it to you.
it taught me what it
Yeah.
means to hold it down.
Mhm.
That's it. And holding it down not just for yourself, but holding it down for the people that are around you. And I think that there are
Mhm.
some men who think that commitment or being with a woman or taking care of a family, they think that that's stupid. And a lot of times it's because these are not solid men. These are not men that can hold anything down. They're the idea of holding things down for other people and actually being selfless enough to secure the village is something. It's an idea that they're not even accustomed to. They're like, why would I take care of the village when I can just take care of myself? Right. And that,
Mhm.
unfortunately, that can in some cases become a very predatory mindset that says, "Yeah, I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna get the sex, and then I'm gonna leave, or the food or the money or the weed or the liquor or the drugs or whatever, and I'm gonna go and enjoy myself, and that's it, and I don't have to think about anybody but myself." And you see that sometimes, like I think the hip hop culture kind of encouraged that. And in fact, there's a rapper I know who's pretty well known, um, where I had a real hard conversation with him, you know, over that very issue. I said, don't you think that the words that you put out have an influence on children? And don't you think that that
Mhm.
is something you should consider? And he said, I don't give a fuck about nobody's kids. They ain't my kids. I don't give a damn. And if the thing is in this guy's life, he has a lot of kids, a lot of women,
Mhm. And
um,
nobody.
tricked off
Mhm.
most of his money, messed around, got involved in dope and stuff like that. And it's like something about that extension of the 1970s black exploitation pimp culture that was pushed into hip hop music that creates like that breed of male that doesn't understand the idea of being accountable to anybody but himself. And that's kind of a culture that I would encourage women, if you're picking a man and you identify that kind of behavior, you got to walk away from that. You got to be a team player, basically.
Mhm. Yeah, I do think you need to have some, shoot, some, you do need to have some standards. And if somebody, if they fall below those standards, you got to decide, okay, is this a done deal? Is this a deal breaker or is it not a deal breaker? You do need to decide that. Or is this somebody who can grow and learn and love? So you
Mm-hmm.
do need to make that decision. So you can't. That's the thing. That's what's so hard about dating. I think that's what's so
Mm-hmm.
hard about dating is just saying, okay, so this person has shortfalls. Am I going to be the kind of person that's going to work with this man, or am I going to say, mm-mm, I
Mm.
can't, I can't,
That's true. Some
So
people are fixer uppers, and
you don't want
some
to be a big
projects are
fixer
more realistic
upper.
than others.
It's so tough.
Yeah, don't be out here trying
How
to
do you
save
allow
nobody.
somebody to make a mistake? You want to allow that person to make a mistake, but then you got to try to decide, is it, should I just end it?
Well, you know what?
It's a
That
tough deal.
I'm gonna tell you, anybody who in here who's solid, if you are a solid black man or a solid black woman, put a yes in the chat. All the solid people, identify yourselves. I want to hear how many of you would consider yourselves to be a solid black man or a solid black woman. Put a yes in the chat if you fit the description. And I'm gonna give you some quick Dr. Boyce advice, Uncle Boyce advice. So take it or leave it, take it or leave it. But I'm 50 years old. I thought through these things, right?
What's your advice?
So here's what you want to, if you are solid, if you identify as a solid black man or solid black woman, what you do not want to do, you need to listen to that old E40 song. Do not turn yourself into Captain Save a Ho. And if you are a woman, do not turn yourself into Captain Save a Hobo. Right?
Oh my
Because you got Captain
goodness.
Save a Hoes and Captain Save a Hobos in the black community that will take somebody who
Yeah.
is completely messed up, who's making all the wrong decisions, who are completely backward in their thinking, and will be thinking to themselves, if only I could help him get a job. He's had such bad luck. He just hasn't ever met a woman who could help him out the way I can, or she's just struggling because all the men in her life have done her wrong. But I'm gonna come through, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. I'm telling you, I'm a big believer that that your car moves under the weight of your own engine.
Yeah.
That
So people have savior complexes.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
relationships where they purposely seek out people who are, first of all,
Mm.
savior complex
What?
means if I'm going to sit here and deal with somebody with more issues than I have, then I don't have to deal with my own issues. So they purposely find somebody with a savior, who needs to be saved like that, to deflect from dealing with their own stuff.
That could be so true, and I can tell you that
Hmm.
I've made that mistake when I was younger, where I had a long relationship with a woman who had a lot of deep issues, and
Ah,
can
yes,
be,
I
you know what I'm
remember
talking about,
that.
because you were my friend at that time,
Hmm.
and it was very frustrating because you pour into those people, and it's like pouring into
A
a
bottomless
bottomless pit.
pit.
You're pouring into a black hole, like they because that void that they have in many cases is too big for you to fill,
Hmm.
and all that happens is they either pull you down with them, or you end up drained and frustrated, emotionally and
Hmm.
financially exhausted, because you've exhausted all your resources to help them, and then at the end they still blame you, and then they move on and they start draining somebody else.
Yep, they just find the next victim to help them.
Yep.
And for them, it's somebody else to blame so that they don't blame themselves. Oh,
Right.
I could have graduated from college, but he didn't bring my books over when
Yep.
I left their books. I couldn't study because he didn't. It's
How
it's
was I supposed to
always
get to
somebody
school when
else.
I don't have my books?
Yeah, I don't have my books, so it's always a long list of excuses as to
Oh,
why
I
they
hate
cannot
that.
be
Oh my
there.
god.
And those kind of individuals, I think, it's sad to say, because it you don't want to drop them. You don't want to drop them from your life because they may be important people to you.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to. You cannot be an enabler for individuals who constantly mess up their lives, and then they
Yeah.
run to you to save them. That's enabling.
Yeah.
And it's where to draw the line is a very difficult thing.
Well, I know that when I was choosing my spouse or thinking about who I wanted to marry, I knew I didn't want to pick a woman like that.
Who
Right.
was a
And
project?
yeah.
Some people are like, "Ooh, she's a project." Let
No,
me get.
well, that's the thing. Like a
Mhm.
project chick could be dateable,
Not
maybe,
project
if you have
chick.
it.
I'm
But I
not
know what
talking
you mean.
about
No,
project
no,
like
I know what you
living a
mean. Like she's
project.
a project, like she is a project. I
A
get it. I
project.
get it. I
Hmm.
get it. I mean, the thing is, it's like people have varying degrees of closeness in your life, right? So I knew that my wife was going to be right there entangled with my space. Like our entanglement was going to be really deep. And so if you came in with significant voids, I knew that I wouldn't be able to get away from that. Whereas most other people, I can calibrate how close I want them to me. Some people, you feed them like the way you feed a shark. You stand back, you throw the food through the cage, or a lion, you throw it through the cage. Like some people, I have.
Why are you feeding sharks? The thing is that sharks need to get food on their own. Like if they depend on, how are they going to be a shark? I really live the life of a shark if they're dependent on you to throw them food.
Well, I think that because it's okay to be nice to people and to help people, and there's a whole industry.
Sometimes that's
No,
not
no, but
helping.
there's charities and stuff that help people that don't even get anything in return, right? And I think that charity is okay to have in your life, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
spaces where I don't mind being like, okay, here's $100 or 200 or whatever, right? Or hey, here's some encouraging words. Good luck. I hope it works out for you, right? As opposed to somebody where their fate is tied to your fate.
Oh, I see what you
That's
mean.
the right.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
what I saw with a wife,
Yeah.
which is deeper, much deeper than like
That makes
a
sense. Hmm.
girlfriend, or and every now and then, like people like that, you can keep at a distance. Like you can say, okay, wow, you got a lot of problems. Good luck with that. Whereas with a wife, you can't do that. You can't say, well, those are your problems, because your problems become our problems. So
That's right, boys. All your problems, they're our problems.
yeah, that's so true.
And that was a big deal because I mean, you just talked about some of the terrible things that happened to you as a child, and
Mm.
I just feel like there's something in me that made you trust me to get
Well,
very really close to you, because I don't know if anyone's ever been this close to you before.
nobody's ever been my wife before, and nobody else ever will be. So I think that the let me just say this though. When I talk about my challenges that I had with my, um, when me and my father had to work through stuff.
And your
Um,
mom too, right?
yeah, yeah, but I can just tell you though, that's the secret. That's the secret to my superpowers. Like that's my superhero origin story. I swear to God. Like
Hmm.
it's not something that cripples me at night or whatever. No, it literally, the benefit of dealing with difficult situations is that you can overcome. So I
Hmm.
encourage anybody who's gone through hell, find a way to turn that hell into your ticket to heaven. You've earned your right to heaven
Mhm.
because you went through hell. But don't stay in hell. Don't let the hell overwhelm you. You overwhelmed it. You survived. You are a survivor. So use your experience in hell as your ticket to earn your right to heaven. Most great people have gone through hell to become great. Simone Biles, I'm sure, had to practice harder than
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
else to become the greatest gymnast in
Her
history.
story is on I think Lifetime. I
Yeah.
think last night was her
Yeah.
her story. I have to take a look at that because
Hmm.
that's I bet that's going to be interesting. But
Yeah.
um
So
hmm.
that's what I believe. I don't know a single great person anywhere who didn't go through hell to get there. So that's my hill. That's what made me great. And you
Mhm.
can't tell me I'm not a great man. I probably sound cocky saying it, but I don't give a shit. Because
Mhm.
I know I believe it. I don't just think I'm a great man. I know I'm a great man when I want to be. And I want everybody else to be great. There's nothing wrong with me saying I'm a great man because I want everybody in this room to become great. You have God, you have the God inside of you.
Yeah.
Pull that shit out.
Their own genius. It's
Absolutely.
getting in contact with their own
There
genius.
you go. Let's all be great
Mhm.
together. So everybody type greatness in the chat and we're gonna get out of here. Everybody type greatness. I want you to commit to greatness. Find your
Mhm.
hell, turn it into your heaven. That's your ticket to heaven. So don't let it hold you down or drag you down. You just keep it moving. You're gonna be great. Okay. All right. So we gotta go. The laundry man's coming.
Yeah.
Um, coaching with dralicia.com is Alicia's website. She sees clients, single and couples, to deal with relationship issues and things like that. She's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work, and also the only faculty member in the history of her university to win a Fulbright
I sure
fellowship, which
am.
makes me very proud of her.
Yes.
And so you can also follow her on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. So God bless you guys. Take care. Have a good day, and I will see you soon. Take care. Peace.